No.
Never.
No. I love this thing, and I take it very serious. I feel like the Fertittas and I built this brand, built this sport. We worked hard building this thing, and I still feel the same way. The money that I made, I know everybody thinks that. When people with money say this shit, it sounds so stupid, but I swear to God on my life.
When people say it's not about the money, it's about one thing, the money.
I'm telling you, I don't even think about it. You know what I bought since that? I didn't buy anything. I bought nothing. I'm not running around trying to, I definitely haven't been on a vacation. You know what I mean? I'm not running around thinking about my money. I'm running around thinking about what's next. That's why when this thing happened, when it went down the stale and I was in this funky place, I had to snap out of it and I had to jump on New York. New York card wasn't even done yet. I got all that done. I was so messed up that I didn't even get New York done until the day before the press conference is when I finished getting that all together, right? Then after I got that done, I had to start focusing on the office and what was going on in there and the changes and the things that were going to happen. I don't ever sit back and go, yeah, I got this money. Forget it. Somebody else can deal with it.
Go back to that. Why were you so messed up? I mean, that should have been, like I said, almost nobody in the history of the world has turned $2 million into $4 billion. It should have been the greatest day of your business life. Why were you so messed up about that? What were you dealing with?
You know what? To be honest with you, my life was perfect. Before this whole thing happened, Lorenzo and I had this perfect working relationship where he did the stuff he liked and I did the stuff I liked, and we were together every day. We had a blast. Even take the worst day ever at the UFC, we still had fun in there doing what we were doing. And it's true very much for me. It's not about the money like it's about the ride. It's about doing great things. I already had made more money than I ever thought I'd make in my life. You get to a point. See, there's some guys, and I'm not this guy. There's some guys that are so driven, I got to make $1 billion. I got to make $1 billion. I want to be on the Forbes list. I'm not that guy.
So what's your deal? If it's not that, what is your deal?
We went to a restaurant today. I went to eat lunch with the restaurant today. We went to a place. When we walked in, the guy looked at me like, where the f*** do you think you're going? Right? And they wanted me to put a jacket on. I'm not an asshole. I don't eat at places like that. You know what I mean? Did you leave? If you're going to tell a fucking grown man how to dress when he goes to eat, I don't want to eat at your restaurant. Okay, so that's just not me.
Dana, put the jacket on.
Yeah, but no matter how much money I make, I'm never going to be that guy. That's not me. I'm not about the money. I don't care about the money. I'm about this. I'm about Saturday night. You know what I mean? And then I love making big fights.
Dan, I'm not taking this jacket off, man. I have no respect for you.
No.
I'm not taking this jacket off, man.
I love when people like you guys are excited about the cards that we build, and then I can't wait for the weigh-ins tomorrow, and then I can't wait for Saturday. It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do. Don't get me wrong. I love that we broke the gate record at MSG. That's the shit I'm in it for. I like breaking records. I like making big fights. I like people going crazy over the fights that we build. I'm in it for that. I'm not in it for the money.
Yeah, well, the way I look at this is, here's the deal with McGregor and Mayweather. Everyone always wants to get so far ahead of themselves. They're so excited about the potential of this, and it's such a unique thing that, fans just want it now. They're like, all right, when is this happening? And that just, it skips several steps, and there are a lot of steps involved. But I will say that I do feel, based on what Dana White said yesterday, that one of those steps, I wouldn't say has been cleared, but it's being addressed, and that is what is the UFC's involvement. Because for the last year, really, as we've spoken about this potential matchup and whether or not it could ever happen, my take has always been, well, where does the UFC fit into all of this? Mm-hmm. We know that Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather can fight each other, and it can produce an enormous amount of money. But how much money is the UFC getting for that? And how willing are they to lend their most popular star into a fight that they probably think he's going to lose, that they absolutely think he's going to lose? They know it, So that was always my question. 2 months ago, Dana White was in Denver, Colorado, after a fight. I was there, watched him say this. What does he think about this fight? And what does he think about Conor potentially hinting that he may do it with or without the UFC? He promised Conor McGregor an epic fall. If he goes down that route, It's an epic fall. I don't see the fight happening. This fight has as much of a chance as me backing up Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. 2 months later, he's sitting on Conan O'Brien saying that he thinks the fight is going to happen. That, to me, is development. That, to me, shows real, tangible evidence that conversations have taken place and that the UFC is willing to be on board with this if the circumstances are right. And that's where what you're saying comes in, Phil. What are the right circumstances? How much money exactly is the UFC, WME, IMG getting from this fight? Does that leave enough left over for Conor McGregor? A couple weeks ago, we were talking about this when I got a quote from the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Anthony Marnell, chairman, told me that, people are having conversations about this, but everybody wants $100 million. That's the magic number. Everybody's asking for $100 million. And when so many people start asking for $100 million, you just start to wonder, are there enough $100 million to go around for everybody? I think that's still going to be the question. I don't think this fight is coming together in June as if you're not paying really super close attention, you may have seen some reports and thought that this fight was going to happen in June. I don't see that happening. Does it happen this year? I would still say probably not. I'm going to lean on no, but man, it's so much more feasible now than it ever has been, just based on what Dana White said publicly yesterday.
Brett, the question I'll volley back to you is, you said this fight probably won't happen this year. I with you, am throwing June out. Conor McGregor, his girlfriend Dee Devlin, they're expecting their first child end of May. The last thing Conor's going to be doing is going through the biggest fight camp of his life. Again, we assume he's going to lose this fight, but could you imagine if somehow, some way, I won't even go there, you know what I'm saying, if somehow things were to go well or you have a good showing. So we can throw out June, but this year, if this fight doesn't happen this year, does that mean he just sits and waits and doesn't have a UFC fight in 2017 and just vacates the lightweight belt with or without his accord?
Man, that's a tough question. I don't see the entire year going by without McGregor fighting. No, I think that if negotiations with Mayweather do not come together by the end of the year, the UFC will make some kind of offer to McGregor that says, hey, let's keep the show going. Then, let's take you back to MSG, or let's put you back in T-Mobile at the end of the year, and let's do a big card, let's do a big fight. Because Conor McGregor is 28 years old. He's a fighter. He's at the prime of his career. He wants to compete. I mean, this is a guy who you see the kind of shape he's in. He's not one of those guys who just disappears and gets in terrible shape in between fights. I mean, it looks like he's working out constantly. It looks like he's constantly in training camp. And that's because he's obsessed with this sport. He loves it. His work ethic is, what has gotten him to this point. So envisioning him sitting out the entire year is very difficult for me to do. Yeah, I mean, I think it's right on 50-50 that this fight now happens with Mayweather. I mean, again,
which is so crazy to say compared to where we were 3-6 months ago on this topic.
3-6 months ago, just a week ago, I would have said not even close to 50-50. But now that I've got Dana White on record saying for the world to hear, I'm not going to stop this fight.
See you Saturday.
Exactly. See you Saturday. I think this fight's going to happen. For him to put that type of support on it, man, I mean, it really does put it. It does increase the chances of it to me for 50-50, and that I haven't said that. I have not said that once. It's amazing. Here's the last question. I guess I'll ask you, Phil, on this one. I like to consider you a purist, same as me. You're a guy who follows all of the fights. You're not just a guy who stops in for the occasional Ronda Rousey fight. What do you think about this? You like it? You okay with it? I mean, obviously you'll watch it. You'll be intrigued by it. At the end of the day, if it happens, are you happy about it?
I can't say that. That's a good question, Brett. The purist in me knows that there's a 99% chance that Floyd, his strike percentage landed will beat McGregor's 10-1. I mean, he will be a ghost in there. He will duck and dodge and jab and get in, get out, and Conor won't know what hit him. I mean, Floyd is a world-class defensive boxer. So from that standpoint, yes, I'll probably tune in. Uncle Walt expensed, because this is what I do, so I'm okay with that. Uncle Walt Disney, that is. With the expectation that it's not going to be an enjoyable fight. When we saw people's reaction to Mayweather-Pacquiao, people bought that fight, we had watch parties. I attended one, and 2-3 rounds in, people up on Twitter blowing up, this is terrible, this is unwatchable. Well, yeah, but it's exactly what we thought would happen. Anyone who knows the sport said this is exactly how it's going to play out. So the predictable element of it, yeah, I mean, that's going to be disappointing, but at the same time, it's going to be so big for Conor McGregor, who's the UFC's biggest star, that I think the demand on Conor is inelastic. I think if he goes and gets smoked by Floyd, he can go out back into the UFC and still comfortably, easily do 1.2, 1.5 million buys, no matter who he's fighting. Whether it's Diaz again, Tony Ferguson, I mean, take your pick. So in that sense, it does excite me for the potential for the UFC itself, but for those 12 rounds or however long the fight lasts, it's almost oxymoronic to say, but I'd be surprised if I weren't disappointed in the outcome. Because I'm pretty sure we all know how it's going to go.
Yeah, I actually think it would be a far more entertaining fight to watch than Pacquiao was. Pacquiao-Mayweather turned into a glorified sparring match in which they both knew they were making a ton of money, and I think they just sparred one another, and Pacquiao came out afterwards and said that his shoulder was messed up. He didn't really truly lay it all on the line and go for it. I just, as crazy as it sounds, I don't think that the motivation was quite there for Pacquiao to win that fight, as it would be for Conor. Conor is a guy who is young enough, and even though he'd be making the biggest payday of his career, I don't think he would just, I don't think he would sit back and say, "Oh man, I just can't beat this guy." Just knowing Conor how I do, and I'm not saying I've spent every day with him, but I've interviewed him, I've been around him, I've watched him train. I've followed his career. He's going to go in with the mindset of, I'm going to win this fight. I am going to do everything I can to be as fully prepared as possible. Yes, the odds are enormously stacked against me, but why not? Why can't I put a left hand on this guy's chin? And I think he's willing to take damage to do so, to try it. He knows this is one shot, 12 rounds. To say that he knocked out Floyd Mayweather, I think he's going to go for it in a way that Manny Pacquiao did not. And so from a skill set, he should get blown up. I mean, he should get absolutely annihilated as he's doing so. But at least we will see a guy who's doing absolutely everything he can to win the fight. And so I guess that I don't really like it. I would rather see Conor McGregor do well in his own sport. I want to see him take on the best in his own sport. But I guess that's one caveat, is that if he were to fight Floyd Mayweather, I would be excited to watch him go in there and really truly believe that he's going to win, that he's at least got a chance to win. And he's going to do, as long as he's conscious, I believe he would try to win. He wouldn't just sit back and say, this guy's just too good. I'm just going to, kind of halfway chase him around the ring for the next 8 rounds and collect my paycheck. I don't think that's what Conor McGregor would do. All right.